Welcome back to Sunday Vibes, one and all. Hope you're having a chilled out Sunday, and I hope yesterday's football was magnificent. Come on, Tottenham Hotspur, take some more points off Pep Guardiola. We're here to answer your questions though, and Christopher Hamill and Patrick Van Straten will be providing those answers. The first question comes from YouTube. It's from Owen McCartney, who says, who do you think is the best free kick taker since 2000? Oh, it's a brilliant question. Go on, Christopher, take it on, because there's only one man you're going to say, isn't it? We already know it.
I've become predictable. Well, Owen, son of Paul, it's got to be the one and only, or George, who played for Sunderland, George McCartney, Republic of Ireland captain. It's got to be the one and only Sunshuk Nakamura. Personal hero of mine. I talk about him all the time. This must be the third Sunday Vibes I've mentioned him on. But he had a phenomenal record for a midfielder in his position. He scored over 100 club goals for teams like Celtic, for teams like Regina. He scored 28 in 90, 23 in 98 for the international team.
That's amazing.
Zico replaced Nakata with Nakamura in that central midfield. You know, so he took the place of the most iconic Japanese footballer probably before then. And, you know, I've said he can open a tin of beans with his left foot before, well documented. The 2 free kicks against United need no introduction. The guy was just an absolute legend.
I think he's diminished his reputation since for these TV adverts.
Yeah.
Because they're all fake, and we all know they're fake.
He's an idiot. He thinks they're fake.
They are fake.
They are fake, mate.
If you'd have watched him destroy Motherwell and Dundee United,
I don't care, mate.
Week in, week out.
He's knocked a bride and groom off the top of a wedding cake from 20 yards. It didn't happen.
How many takes did that
As if Japanese TV is anything but true. He also hit the ball through the window of a moving bus, for fuck's sake.
Ooh. Yeah, I'm going to have to go for Juninho Pernambucano.
So choice.
I thought about Roberto Carlos, you know, Carlos, what a player. But the thing is, we remember Roberto Carlos regardless, because he was an incredible left back. Whereas Juninho was a good player, but he wasn't a world beater like Carlos.
Yeah, true.
And the reason that we all know his name is because he was an unbelievable free kick taker. He scored 75 between 1994 and 2012. 75. It's nearly 10 a year. It's outrageous. It's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, this is a guy who just could do absolutely anything with a dead ball.
Knuckleball, wasn't it, Pato?
Yeah.
The knuckleball that Pirlo said he studied, copied, perfected, nearly scored against England with it, didn't he?
Well, they didn't perfect it, did he?
2 toes. Good point. 2 toes, not 3 was the secret, apparently. I can't kick it with 5.
Oh, so like a sloth.
2 toes? How do you kick a football with just 2 toes?
You asked Juninho Pernambuco, mate.
I'm going to obviously talk about David Beckham.
Shock.
I mean...
Fair enough.
I would love to have said Juninho and Nakamura, but obviously I didn't watch enough of
Piero,
Juninho or Nakamura growing up. But David Beckham...
Mihailovic.
For me, was the quintessential free kick taker. It was so whipped. It was so much power on it. I remember one against Everton where he completely did the goalkeeper with his eyes, went in the opposite corner. There was so much whip and curl on that ball. It was unbelievable. I mean, at Man United, he was average in a free kick goal every 17 games.
Poor. Yeah, that's outrageous.
That's mad when you look at the averages of someone, say, like Ronaldo as well.
Massively underrated player, David Beckham, especially in those early years at Manchester United. But what do you guys at home think? Who was the best free kick taker since 2000? Nakamura, Juninho, or was it Bex? Or was it somebody else? Let us know in the comments and in the poll right now. The next question then is also on YouTube. It comes from Henry Vincent, who says, who is the best young goalkeeper in Europe? I'm going to put a cap of 23 on this one.
Okay.
Because slightly older than you would get for an outfield player, but goalkeepers go on for longer. And I'm going to kick it straight off. It has to be Donnarumma, because that's what everybody's going to be talking about in the comments.
The words out of my mouth. 17
years old, consistently starting for AC Milan and keeping good goalkeepers out of the side as well. So naturally gifted physically, 6'5" already. The Italians talk about him as the heir to Gianluigi Buffon's throne already, don't they? Would come as no surprise to me if he eventually joined Juventus, despite the fact that AC don't really need to sell him, but when Juve come knocking in Italy, they usually go. I mean, this is a guy who's already got 17 clean sheets. He's already only 17 years old. He makes 2.5 saves per goal.
Clean sheet for every year.
Exactly. He makes 2.5 saves per goal. That's outstanding at AC Milan, an AC Milan team that have been struggling, quite frankly, over the past few years. So everybody's going to talk about him. I have to say Donnarumma, but other than Donnarumma, who should we be looking at, Hamster?
Well, having looked at the Bundesliga a fair bit on EFD, I'd go for someone like Timo Horn.
Interesting choice,
He is 23, so fits in with your criteria.
Yeah.
And he played 33 times for FC Cologne last season, making 79 saves. One of the highest in the top 5 leagues, actually excelling that of Donnarumma.
Wow, that's impressive.
So fairly impressive stuff. He's played with them since 2012, so he's got a bunch of experience. He's already turned out, I think, 140 times for them. Obviously, as I said, he's only 23. He's represented his country at a very high level, being part of that Olympic squad that won silver, so he has a certain amount of pedigree with him as well. But that knee cartilage injury is keeping him out this season. It's slowed him up. We don't know how much it will hamper his progression. Obviously, goalkeepers kind of need their knees. So let's fingers crossed that he gets some new cartilage soon. But he was heavily linked with Liverpool last season. It looked like he was going to move, but they opted for Karius instead. Will that be a good decision? Only time will tell. Karius not off to the greatest of starts.
Interesting one here from Bleached Opossum, a quick one, who says, what is the most underappreciated role in modern football? Underappreciated role here. So not position, but Pato, what are you saying?
I'd say it's the conservative centre-back. Like, you often get two kinds of centre-back, right?
Yeah.
There's the destroyer who comes out of the back line, makes tackles and interceptions, and then the guy who sweeps up behind, okay, so he covers. And you often give a lot of credit to the people who run out of the back line, you know, guys like Koscielny who are aggressive, especially in this day and age when people want to look at defensive stats. So they say, this guy makes loads of tackles and interceptions, he must be a good defender. This guy doesn't, therefore he's not good. Well, actually, maybe his role is just to sit back, and if that guy gets caught out of position, he has to mop up. These players tend to get sent off a lot because they're always the last man, and then they get criticised for that.
Surely a really good example of that, Pat, is David Luiz and Azpilicueta. Azpilicueta's been getting a bunch of praise recently, and you know, fair play, he's making 3 or 4 tackles a game, whilst David Luiz's numbers since reverting to that back 3 have dropped significantly. But that's because he doesn't have to, isn't it? It's because he's sitting back, he's the furthest back, he's monitoring the situation, he's not breaking out of his lines very often unless it's, you know, to spray the ball around. So yeah, I think there is definitely something in that.
Well, look at Juventus as well. I mean, like, partially because of, you know, FIFA and things, people think that Giorgio Chiellini is the best defender there because he's the one who runs out of the back line and does all the kind of crazy aggressive stuff. But he isn't. Bonucci is better and Barzagli is better. Like, those are the guys who actually have to use their brain to read the game and generally save Juventus when somebody does get past that first line of defence.
I'm going to go for the false 9. I think only over the last few years. I think since Pep Guardiola left Barcelona, obviously when he first came in, he moved Lionel Messi into that false 9 position, quite a brave move, left the space forward unoccupied. He told Lionel Messi that he wasn't allowed to touch the ball in the 18-yard area unless he was shooting. That was his main goal for Lionel Messi, to arrive late on the box, which I thought was quite interesting. But recently, since he's moved to Bayern, he obviously put Lewandowski up front. He struggled to find that role. He wanted to play Franck Ribéry there when he
tried to play Mario Götze there.
Yeah, he tried to play Mario Götze, and Franck Ribéry especially, when he first joined Bayern Munich, he was desperate to get Franck Ribéry in that role, but Franck kept on moving to the touchline, so it didn't work out for him. I think at Man City, he potentially wants that player as well. We've seen him bring Gabriel Jesus in. Iheanacho's played a lot. I'm not sure he likes Aguero quite as much because he can't drop deep. He's always in that 18-yard space, and that allows defenders to mark him quite easily. That's what Messi was so good at. So yeah, I'm going to go for the false 9. Spencer Gable now then, he says, which current player do you think will become the next big manager? Let's keep this one short, one name and a quick explanation. Pato.
Xabi Alonso, really intelligent player. Managers, when they were former players, tend to be defenders or midfielders because those are more intelligent positions. Played under Ancelotti, Mourinho, Guardiola. He'll be amazing.
Xabi Alonso. Hamster?
Great facial hair as well. I'm going to maybe go for Xavi Hernandez. Similar to Alonso, he's played under the likes of Van Gaal and Guardiola, 2 very different systems, which I'm guessing, you know, he can take a lot from, put them in the pot, maybe concoct something of his own. And he is still playing, before anyone wants to, you know, pull me up on a technicality. He's killing it for Al Sadd in Qatar, 6 in 16, so what a guy.
I'm going to go for Philipp Lahm. Pep Guardiola's talked about him as the most intelligent footballer he's ever managed. I think he'll slip in there pretty easily. Already undertaking his coaching badges, hell of a player, plays in lots of positions. He reads the game like nobody else. Cameron Leonard has our next question. He says, do you think safe standing would be as beneficial in England as it is in the likes of Germany? Now, if you don't know what safe standing is, it's basically a rail that runs horizontally along the stand. It's about 100 centimetres high, means you can't crush forward and you can't crush backwards, and there can't be a pile-up from behind, which is, of course, what led to some disasters in the past. It's been used really effectively in the likes of Germany. Some forms of safe standing feature a seat that folds down, meaning you can sit down if you wanted to. Obviously, not many people do because then you wouldn't be able to see the game. It's also started to come into Britain We've seen it in a lot of rugby league grounds. They've okayed it. We've also seen it at Celtic Park. However, the Premier League are yet to okay it because all the teams would have to agree on it. Yeah, Borussia as well. Segunda Park, or the Westfalenstadion, has a 25,000 safe standing stand known as the Yellow Wall. Everybody's heard of that atmosphere, incredible atmosphere, and the reason for that is because people stand the whole game effectively. The current way it's done in English grounds with the low forms of seating is extremely dangerous. I've been to loads of away matches where I've stood the whole game, being pushed from behind when there's goals, and you're just tripping forward over a seat. It's so dangerous still. So for me, I think it's a great idea, but Hamster, you've been to games, haven't you, where they've actually used it. Does it improve it?
I have, pal, and it's added to the atmosphere tenfold. The Green Brigade have embraced it thoroughly. Games against Leicester pre-season I went to, Manchester City, it was great, and I think it's just a real reward for the fans wherein the club is just a huge part of their life. I'm not even saying that in a negative sense. You know, it adds a little caveat to their identity. I think we were averaging attendances of 40k last year under Ronnie Dyler, and this year the safe standing section of Brendan Rodgers has breathed a new lease of life into the club. And it makes ticket prices a hell of a lot cheaper, doesn't it, Pato? As you were saying,
it does, yeah.
2 standing for every 1 seated.
Yeah. A really relevant question here from Ziad Ahmed, who says, who do you think is going to win the African Cup of Nations this year? Obviously, the tournament is going on now. Hamster, who do you reckon, mate?
I'm going to go for Senegal. Sadio Mane's Senegal. They've got some talented players in there. The likes of Koulibaly, who Chelsea are obviously after.
Yeah.
Moussa Sow, who's still at Fenerbahce?
I believe so.
Yeah, scored that overhead kick against
Killing
United.
it there as well. You've got the likes of Idrissa Gueye, Demba Ba's obviously out. But
favourites to win it, they are.
Yeah, without having that much pedigree actually, I think their best place to finish is second. That was back in 2002. But since 2016, was filthy team. They've been on form, mate. Out of 11 games, they haven't lost in all but 2.
Really? In all but 2? In all but 2.
And the biggest margin of defeat was a 2-0 loss against Mexico.
I mean, I think that Zimbabwe are probably the best team I've ever seen.
Yeah?
Of my lifetime,
Yeah,
certainly.
Yeah. Trying to agree.
Tiki-taka at its best.
Don't know why you're taking the piss, to be honest. Cruel.
Pate.
They've got Marvellous Nakamba. Marvellous Nakamba, that's his name.
We've got to explain your affinity with Zimbabwe.
Why do you like Zimbabwe so much?
My family is Zimbabwean. Like,
there you go.
My dad is Zimbabwean.
It's not just being
this
weird.
guy's got so many different heritages.
Yeah, but you just
Dutch,
think it's got to be one or the other.
It's
such a bastardisation of so many things.
I don't have any
including
Spanish
the
nationality. I was just born there.
Hold on, did you just say there was a player called Marvellous?
Marvellous Nakamba. Have you heard his name? It's obvious. It's destiny. He's an incredible player. They're in the same group as Senegal and Algeria. Knock those 2 shithouses out. Straight to the final. Beat the Ivory Coast, who Joe's going to witter about now. Oh, Wilfred Bonny, he's so good. Is his first name Marvellous? Is it fuck? Shut up.
I am going to have to witter on about the Ivory Coast because they are exceptional.
Yeah.
Individually, in particular, you've got the likes of Eric Bailly, who was fantastic at the beginning of the season for Manchester United. Franck Kessié, who's been brilliant for Atlanta, highly coveted by the likes of Chelsea, of course, got a big price tag on his head. Going forward, Wilfried Zaha doing very well at Crystal Palace before he left the AFCON. Wilfred Boney, struggling a little bit at Stoke, but a natural goal scorer as we saw when he was at Swansea. It's all about getting that group to gel though, and of course Serge Aurier, bad boy Serge Aurier. If you can get the best out of him, he's a hell of a player, but getting the best out of that unit is difficult.
It's a talented squad, but actually, in a way, it's not the most talented squad they've had over the last 10 years. But maybe, if anything, that will help them. Maybe they'll play as a unit instead of as individuals. Who knows?
Can't get over Marvellous.
I can't either.
That's almost as good as Isaac's success.
There's another guy who plays for Zimbabwe. His first name is God knows.
Let us know the best footballing names in the comments below.
Final question of the day, thank the Lord. This one comes from Adam Greig, who says, who is the biggest traitor in football history? Hashtag Sunday Vibes. Christopher Hamill, you look excited to answer this question. I can see it behind those glasses and those beady little eyes. What are you saying?
Right. To an extent, I don't get this question because it's like, I think we put so much emphasis on how loyal players should be to clubs. Like maybe if you're a homegrown player, and you know they give you your football education, then maybe so in that instance. Like Mo Johnson going from Celtic to a French team and then saying he was going to rejoin Celtic and joining Rangers. Yes, he is a snake. But maybe in the modern era. Adebayo is a bit of a dick, isn't he? Phenomenal Snapchat though. So
Absolutely loves his dwarfs. Pato, what are you
arsehole.
saying?
Loves his dwarfs. Luis Figo. I mean,
original-
the
the
original
original snap.
and the best.
But
You know,
why?
it's just like,
he was there for a season. He owes them nothing.
but they turned him into a superstar, and then he just ditched them for Real Madrid. It wasn't like he was playing in a bad team, mate. He could have carried on playing with like Rivaldo and people, but he was like, fuck that. I'll go to Real Madrid. I'll buy a boat. I'll dick about on the wing.
Yeah,
I don't know.
quality.
He's an arsehole.
Yeah.
They threw a pig's head at him, and he deserved it. Though that said, was always one of my favourite players. So swings and roundabouts.
Talking of loyalty, I'm going to go for Sol Campbell. Developed at Tottenham Hotspur, captain of Tottenham Hotspur, says I'm going to be loyal to this club for life. Then he runs his contract into the ground, leaves on a free, joins arch rivals Arsenal and wins the double.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, Figo.
That's the original snake. Forget
Figo
Figo.
could only go to Real Madrid because they were the only ones who'd have paid.
That's
Whereas
pretty
Campbell was on a
anywhere.
free. He could have gone anywhere.
Could have gone anywhere, and he
Yeah.
opted for Arsenal after saying in the same season, "Oh, I'm going to be here for a long time." What an
double.
embarrassment!
Yeah, but Tottenham were a
the
small
double.
club then.
Invincible.
Oh, they weren't a small club. He's Tottenham Hotspur. He's gone to Arsenal. I know he won the double, but Jesus Christ, what a
Became
snake.
invincible.
And since then, he's gone even more downhill. What's he doing at the moment?
Tory.
Trying to get people fired on Twitter.
Tory
Yeah.
knob.
Poor old waiters
Absolute
around Christmas.
dickhead. I saw him white himself up the
shame.
other day for a
Whoa.
photo shoot.
Well, that took a
Honestly,
turn.
Jesus Christ, the bloke's lost his head.
If your parents are Tories, tell them that.
So that's all we've got time for today on Sunday Vibes. Of course, there is Chelsea versus Hull today. Get your predictions in the comments right now. Thanks to Christopher Howell for joining me, Patrick Van Straten as ever, and for you guys for sending in your questions. If you want to be featured next week, bang them in the comments now. Send them to us on Twitter, or you can even Snapchat them into Football Daily UK. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye.
See you later. Goodbye. Auf Wiedersehen. Sayonara.